Hey, how you doing? Terry Butts here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something I wrote on my blog recently, my Tri Coach at blogspot.com. And basically what I said was, over the last few months I've had a lot of people ask me, hey coach, I just signed up with you, what's your theory and thoughts on, running the marathon. How many times will I actually run the 26.2 mile distance? And my answer is never. You see, the way I train my athletes is by utilizing the heart rate and time, cross-training, stuff like that. And I do this for a lot of reasons. It allows me to make sure that the athletes are recovering. Every time you land on one leg, it's about 4 to 6 times your body weight on one leg. So if you're a 200-pound runner, that's anywhere from 800 to 1,200 pounds. So, that's a lot of beating. And if you actually, don't take care of the body, then it's going to just break down and it's never going to recover. A couple other little things that I mentioned is, how I use the heart rate monitor to make sure that the hydration levels are where they should be. Remember, your body's about 70 to 75% water. If you're dehydrated, your heart's going to have to work harder to pump the same amount of oxygenated blood through the system. It's sickness. If you're sick, if you're getting a cold or something like that, your heart rate's going to be elevated. And if you're overtraining, your heart rate's going to be low and you're never going to be able to get in your zones. So it's really effective. And that's why I utilize a heart rate time type deal. As for the cross training, I like to use aqua jogging, spin classes, just regular cycling to condition the heart. Remember, your body doesn't know that whether you're running or cycling for the conditioning, but the body knows because of the impact and the pounding that it's taken. So, just think about that when you're out there running mile upon mile upon mile. You definitely need to think about those kind of things. Also, I've seen a lot of athletes get caught up in, hey, it's 26.2 miles, it's long, it's slow, I gotta stay out there forever, and I gotta run tons of miles. And this is kind of goes back to the beginning, to where I said you'll never run the marathon distance completely. I mean it one time. Okay, so if you have the opportunity to, let's say you got to do a 2-hour run, well, time-wise, especially during the week, if you're doing some longer runs, we got to work, and you're not necessarily going to be able to go for 2 hours, and you're going to be stressed out about getting to work. So my thing is not only keeping your stress levels down, but for productivity, why don't you run an hour in the morning aerobic and an hour in the evening aerobic. Therefore, that way your body's recovering, you're getting the proper nutrients in, and it's 2 better quality workouts instead of just one long breaking the body down type workout. Another thing, the strength training is a key part to being able to stay upright. I call it that marathon gangster lean type deal, where you see those athletes coming in at the end of the Ironman or at the end of a marathon, to where they're leaned over to the side or they're crouched forward. And the reason is because they're not using their glutes and their hamstrings and the core. The core is weak, and so they're not engaging any of that when they're running. And hey, that's key to proper form and technique, which brings me into, how many times have you lately studied running form and technique? I see people with different styles of form of running out there. I think 2 of the good ways to run, and some athletes can pick up one and they can't pick up the other, or vice versa, is the pose method, and the other one is Mark Verstegen's method, which is, if you Google Mark Verstegen and go to core performance or athlete performance, you'll be able to find his books there. And so those are two good ways to run. But basically, you see these athletes when I'm out there, I see hundreds of thousands, hundreds if not thousands of athletes running, and they're crossing their center line of their body, cut the body in half, and they're crossing that with their arms, okay? Or they're moving their shoulders back and forth, which is putting a lot of undue stress on the low back region. And if you're not engaging the glutes and the low back and the hamstrings, the core all as one, then you're going to end up having that gangster lean. So you definitely want to make sure that, that you work on the form and technique as well as the strength training and cross training, and think about splitting up your workouts. So with that said, try to implement some of this stuff into your training. Look at, being a smarter runner, not just a harder runner. The impacts that the body's taking. And also something I didn't put on there, a little key point, is ice baths. Look, take a cold plunge after you work out. And you can do the hot and cold contrast, but make sure that you end up with the cold. So if you do 2 or 3 minutes in the hot and then you get in the cold, make sure that you finish with the cold water. A lot of athletes don't have, in some of these remote locations, a big fancy gym like we're fortunate enough to have around my area here in Louisiana that have a cold plunge. But hey, you can make your own at home. You can make one in the hotel room after the marathon. You go back to your hotel room, is basically fill the tub up with cold water, and then end up getting you a bag of ice or some ice and throwing it, especially the hotel room's easy to get, throwing the ice inside the bathtub, letting it get real cold, and then just slide your body in there. Hey, it's not pleasant, but man, does it help. And it'll help for recovery and all this stuff. So try that, implement it, and I look forward to hearing from you. Let me know what you think. See if you've implemented some of this stuff, and let me know how it's helped you. So have a strong 2009, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.